You know, it is said that the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. So if you create insolent, reckless, and unwise children, then you will have insolent, reckless, and unwise leaders. It is also said that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times, and good times create weak men. So I want you to understand the generations of the 60s, 70s, and early 80s were tough, hardworking, ambitious, cock and balls men and women of indefatigable character. So because of their hard work and strength of character, these men and women created economic prosperity unforeseen in Grenada post-1983. So what you had, it was a time of merriment, a time of goodness, a time of having a lot. So these men and women, their children, did not have to grow up in circumstances, difficult circumstances of lack that they grew up in. So in some respects, these children became spoiled. And these children that became of age in the 2010s, the 2020s, they were able to inherit everything for the last 30, 40 years that their parents, and in some respects, grandparents, worked hard to create. And the problem with inheritance is that you do not understand or you do not appreciate the hard work that would have gone into creating your inheritance. So what we saw is a leadership that in some respects was lucky, and in some respects the electorate was giddy-headed and got bamboozled, and that leadership came into power. That young, reckless, insolent, and unwise leadership gained the reins of power in Grenada. On top of that, these young, reckless charlatans got a blank check. They inherited $500 million, $500 million. And boy, oh boy, did they go on a reckless spending spree. So all that reckless, wild spending that you see is taking place, and that will ultimately lead to a bankrupt economy, is money that was created on your hard-working backs for the last 30, 40 years. You created that slush fund, so to speak, for these young, reckless cats to come and just do whatever they want with it. That money represents your hard labor. And that I want you to understand. So I say all of this to say that in some respects, the leadership that Grenada has inherited, that they themselves are responsible for creating that reckless leadership. But I want you to understand the further danger that exists. Because remember, I started off by saying that the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. And just like that reckless leadership, they were kids and children, and they grew up. Now the kids of today is looking at that current leadership for guidance. And they themselves, these young kids of today, might be confused that what is happening and what is being passed off as leadership right now, the recklessness, the insolence, and the lack of wisdom is what leadership is supposed to be. These young kids, because I'll tell you something, and remember this, kids learn more from what they see than what you tell them. Modeling of behavior is actually one of the most significant learning tools of the human animal. So human beings learn more by modeling behavior. So if the behavior of current leadership is reckless, insolent, and unwise, the kids of today, this is the sort of behavior that they will internalize. So what you would see happening in the future is that these kids now will grow up and become even more insolent, reckless, and unwise leaders. If this sort of behavior is not checked and put back into balance, you would have a downward spiral of leadership. And that, my friends, is a dangerous thing for your country. So there are pretty much not any adults in the room among these reckless, insolent kids. They're supposed to be adults in the room. But these adults have been intoxicated by a bit of the lucre, the money that they are getting from these reckless young kids. So they have become silent and complicit in some respects in the destruction of Grenada. They have sold their souls out for money. And I know that these people know better. So, just like when you have insolent, reckless children, what do you do to rectify their behavior? You reprimand them and you put them on timeout so they can reflect on the bad behavior that they have engaged in. So Grenada, so the parents who raise these children, I want you to understand the only way you can save Grenada is to liberate Grenada from these reckless, insolent, and unwise kids that are currently in leadership. You have to reprimand them and you have to put them on timeout. Because if you don't, you would be encouraging bad behavior. The country and yourselves will have hell to pay for it in the future. Grenadians, you have a responsibility to reprimand and to put on timeout during the next election these young, reckless, insolent, and unwise kids for the betterment of yourselves, your children, grandchildren, and ultimately the whole of Grenada. Arrogance, recklessness, and lack of wisdom shall destroy a nation. A word to the wise is sufficient.